All right, so let's get started. Thank you so much, everybody, for your patience as we start this next Ask the Expert series with the Chief of Early Childhood, Bryan Stokes. But before we do that, let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Christina Corretto, and I am a Family and Community Engagement Specialist for Network 7, serving the communities of Pilsen and Little Village. So it's a great honor to be here providing these supports and these workshops for our parents and our community. The FACE department, our Office of Family and Community Engagement, offers these Ask the Expert series weekly at 4 o'clock every Thursday with the different content experts from our school district. We've had several in the past, and we're going to continue having more in the future. I think this has been a great way for our parents and community to get to know our departments and what we are working on as a district. So every Thursday at 4 o'clock, there is a different expert here. And additionally, we also have several workshops throughout the week that you could find out what we are offering by visiting our Facebook pages, CPS Parent U, or our Instagram pages. So if you are on social media, please follow those pages so that you could be in the know of the different types of programming that we are offering parents throughout the week or weeks. But I am excited, again, as I said, to be here today speaking to Bryan Stokes, who is the Chief of Early Childhood for our district. I've known Bryan for quite some time working out in the community. So I'm going to go ahead and let Bryan actually introduce himself and talk a little bit more about what the district is doing. And I just want to add that I'm also a mom of a 4-year-old. So I come here with the lens of a parent as well. And some of the questions that have come in before are questions that I have too. And our Q&A session is open as well. So if you want to put in some questions there, I'm going to try to see how many questions we could fit in. But please know that we all have I probably have the same questions that many of you are asking. So I am learning as well today from this presentation, along with many of you. So Bryan, take it away and introduce yourself, please.
All right. Thanks, Christina. I appreciate that we get to work together again. So hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on this sunny, warm Thursday afternoon. I'm Bryan Stokes, Chief of Early Childhood at CPS. I've been at CPS now nearly a year. I think I'm coming on like a little over 11 months. And so really excited to have a chance to be here to talk about the work that we're doing to launch our preschool application. So my department sort of works with our schools and our networks to implement preschool across the district. And so one of our major initiatives has been universal pre-K. And we're making great strides to build high quality, full day early childhood for every 4-year-old. So that's kind of my work. I'm really excited to answer questions and talk a little bit about the application.
Thank you, Bryan. So let's just get started with our presentation. I know other people from your team are here as well, where they are also available to help answer any questions. So our Q&A section is open. If you have anything that you want Bryan to answer towards the end of his presentation, please go ahead and put that in there. But yeah, let's get started, Bryan.
Sounds good. All right, so as I just mentioned, the office I lead is the Office of Early Childhood Education. And so our mission is to provide all children and their families with access to high quality, equitable early learning experiences leading to success in elementary school and beyond. And so we really measure ourselves against kindergarten readiness as measured by the KIDS assessment and by second grade literacy and math scores. So we really see ourselves as supporting the foundation of education in the district and making sure the kids are getting a great start and on track for learning. Next slide. So, as I mentioned, part of our goal as a district has been for the past few years and continues to be building high quality universal preschool for every 4-year-old in the district. And we've actually made tremendous strides towards that. We need to open about another 100 classrooms or so between this fall and fall of 2022 to make that a full reality. And the reason that we're committed to that is that we know that early childhood education matters. And there's been, tremendous research over the past, 5 or 6 decades, the Perry Preschool Project, a number of other studies that have shown that quality early childhood education leads to positive life outcomes. So we know that children who experience quality early learning programs are 25% more likely to graduate from high school, are 4 times more likely to have completed a bachelor's degree or higher, and earn up to 24% more in wages as an adult. I would also say as a school district, we're looking, as I mentioned again, at kindergarten readiness, at early elementary performance, and seeing that by providing, and we're really committed to it, by providing high quality early childhood, that we can ensure that kids are on track and have a strong foundation for school success. And this is work that we do in close partnership with the Department of Family and Support Services, who provide support and resources and funding to community-based organizations who also provide high quality early childhood education. Next slide. So many of you probably heard the district's announcement yesterday that our plan for this fall is to offer full day, full week in-person learning to every CPS student. And so that includes our youngest learners, our preschoolers. And this year, preschool, as well as our cluster programs, were the first to reopen, and we've seen great success in students being able to safely learn in person and begin to develop critical social emotional skills, cognitive skills, language skills, et cetera. And so, we know from research that preschool is critical to greater brain development. It's critical to, again, those foundations in language, literacy, and math. It's critical to supporting social emotional learning and helping kids develop social emotional skills to interact with their peers, interact with adults, to learn a way of being in an educational setting. We also know that attendance in early childhood is critical, that a strong pattern of regular attendance, daily attendance, is critical to future attendance and future success. And so we're committed to safe, high quality in-person learning, while also, of course, having options for those families who might choose to remain remote. Next slide. We, again, with reopening preschool this year, safety was the top of mind for everyone across the district. And that continues to be true with the reopening of elementary schools, the reopening of high schools last week. And so, in our district right now, classrooms, all students have face masks for students 3 and up. We have a daily symptom screener, so we're making sure that anyone who goes into a CPS building is healthy. I actually had a chance to visit a couple schools earlier today, and I had to do the symptom screener, get my temperature taken. And so, we're making sure that's a universal practice so that, everyone is safe and healthy coming into the building. We have a team that does robust contact tracing. So in the rare instance that, there was some kind of exposure, everyone who's affected knows and is able to, take the right steps. And we work closely with CDPH so that our team within CPS is aware of and following all the latest health protocols. And I'm sure that many of you have heard about safety and sanitation procedures that are happening throughout the district in every classroom. I had a chance to see that earlier today in a classroom. As activities transition, there was cleaning happening between, we have air purifiers, et cetera. So those continue to be our standard to make sure that kids are safe. Next slide. So, our topic for today is our preschool application. And so the application launched yesterday, and there's already been a fantastic response. We've seen thousands of applications come in so far, which is fantastic. And so the application process is for all of our publicly funded programs in the city, both within CPS and within community-based organizations for 3 and 4-year-olds. And so, when you visit chicagoearlylearning.org, and I think we'll put that in the chat probably throughout this presentation, you'll be able to search for appropriate programs based on your home address, based on your work address, based on your child's age, and look at and find a whole variety of quality programs across the city. Within the community-based organizations, there are seats from prenatal through age 5. Within CPS, the vast majority of our seats are for 4-year-olds, and so as a district, we've prioritized high-quality full-day seats for 4-year-olds. We have very limited seats for 3-year-olds in our half-day programs, and so you'll see that reflected in chicagoearlylearning.org, and you'll be able to find where those seats are in your community, and you can apply. The placement window is not a first come, first serve process, but we do have an early application period, which is open right now. And so for about the next 3 weeks, we're going to collect applications. The order of applications in those 3 weeks does not matter. But what the initial application window lets us do is we can actually provide families with offers at the end of that approximately 3-week window. After that window, the application will still be open until the first day of school, beyond the first day of school, although we hope to have all of our seats filled before the first day of school. But there may be fewer seats because we are making those initial offers after that 3-week window closes. So now is really the time to go ahead, sign up, find your neighborhood school, find your preferred school, and apply. Currently, our application is based, our priority for selection is based on a number of risk factors. So family income, family size, other family demographic criteria. And so, we're providing seats based on, we're ranking seats based on a choice. So where your first and second choices are, as well as those factors such as temporary living situations, income, etc. At the same time, as I mentioned, we've made tremendous progress as a district at expanding access. And so, you're going to be able to find high quality full day seats in nearly every CPS elementary school at this point in most communities. So, or I think in all but 2 communities, we have at least one full day classroom. And in 56 of our communities, we actually can serve every 4-year-old. And so, that's a huge expansion from where we were a few years ago. And so the odds are very good if you have a 4-year-old that we can serve you in your first or second choice. Next slide. So the steps for applying. So first, you're going to go to chicagoearlylearning.org, which I've seen in the chat now a couple times. You'll click apply. You'll create a new account. You'll enter your family information. So you're going to see information for primary caregiver. You'll enter the information for your child or children. You'll hit the button finalize and submit. And I've heard that in the past, there have been some challenges that families have gotten through the process and not hit that last button. That last button is critical. And that's what then submits your application to us. And so after, if you're applying now, which we encourage, you can apply right now or after this webinar, then you'll get an offer in about 3 weeks. And so you're going to get that in the same place that you apply. I think you'll get it by email as well. And then you can go back in and accept your offer. Once you've accepted the offer, you can visit either one of our verification centers. So we have family resource centers in libraries across the city, or you can contact your child's school and you can complete verification. And so that just lets us verify that the information you submitted during your application is the right information and that we've placed you in the right in the right seat. And then at the beginning of the year, you'll enroll and your child will start their preschool journey. And so we're really excited about that. We have a lot of supports and assistance. So there's support on and information on the Chicago Early Learning website. There's a video, and so we'll have the links to those in the chat. We also have a Chicago Early Learning hotline, and that hotline has live assistance in English and in Spanish. And so that's 312-229-1690. That goes to our partners at Illinois Action for Children, who manage the Chicago Early Learning hotline. And so that's for both applicants for CPS and applicants for community-based organizations. And so they're going to be able to help you apply by phone, answer any questions that you have, help you accept your offer, help you make an appointment at one of our family resource centers. So that's really a great place with any questions you have to contact that number. You can also on chicagoearlylearning.org find our family resource centers, make an appointment, and you can actually apply at those family resource centers. We've got laptops for you to apply. We've got staff there who are bilingual staff who can assist you with applying. They can assist you with accepting your offer, and they can also help you with that verification step. They can receive your information and verify your application. Next slide. And so I think I skipped ahead. I mentioned some of the stuff already. So once you're accepted, you're going to receive a letter, and then you will accept your offer again in that portal. And then there's information, and you don't have to try to read the tiny lettering here right now, but what you're going to provide when you come to verify, and again, our hotline, your child's school, or our family resource centers can assist you with any of this. You're going to provide proof of age. So we need to know as a district that your child is the age that you stated, that you're not trying to sneak a 7-year-old into pre-K. No, but we need proof of age. We need proof of income. So we need to know that the income you stated, because we are using income as a selection factor, that's accurate. And of course, the district, we need to know proof of address and verify that everyone attending is a Chicago resident. Next slide. And these are the family resource centers that I mentioned. So this year we've got 7 family resource centers kind of spread around the city. At several of those, we can provide support in both English and in Spanish. And so these are great locations. You can just make an appointment at the chicagoearlylearning.org website. You'll complete our symptom screener, and then you'll be able to meet with a member of our team who can assist you with applying, who can assist you with verifying, and answer any questions you might have. We also, again, have that hotline, which is a fantastic resource. And then we also have my team, the Office of Early Childhood Education. Our information's here, 773-553-2010. Or oece@cps.edu. We have a fantastic team that responds to both of those and can answer any questions that you might have and point you in the right direction. Next slide. All right, so I think that is my entire spiel. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Thank you so much, Brian. I think a lot of this information is great, especially now that the application opened. I know there are several parents who are trying to, one, understand and navigate the whole application process, understanding what the schedule would look like, understanding programmings that there are available for pre-K. So there is a ton of questions that actually came in beforehand that I will get started asking you. And then we will move on to the Q&A section because there are some live questions that are coming in. So we're going to try to see how many we could get through today. Sounds good, but I think we have
Sounds
enough.
good.
I think we have good timing on this. So the first question I have here is from Lori Mula from Burley. And I think you answered all of this. Well, I know you answered all of this in your presentation, but again, I think it's very nerve-wracking. And she asked, how do you enroll a child in pre-K? And I know you answered in your presentation, but if you could just reiterate again, like what is the first step that a parent needs to take
Yep.
to enroll their child in pre-K?
So first step is visit chicagoearlylearning.org. And that website is available in English and Spanish. And it's a great resource. You will find there both the application itself, but if you need some help, you'll also find the info about our family resource centers, and all of them are open to help you right now. You can also reach out to the hotline I mentioned, which we'll make sure is in the chat. Call them. You can just say, I don't know what to do, and they're going to walk you through it.
And they're available in Spanish as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other question I have here is from Heather Charles from South Loop. And her question is, what are the odds of a child that is 3 getting accepted into a program for pre-K?
That's a great question. I know that's come up quite a bit. So as a district, as we've expanded to universal pre-K for 4-year-olds, we have decreased our services for 3-year-olds. And again, I mentioned our partnership with the Department of Family and Support Services. We have a great network of community-based organizations across the city. And so full day services for 3-year-olds are being provided by that robust, high quality network of community-based organizations. Our full day seats in CPS schools are exclusively for 4-year-olds. There are a few exceptions for our children with IEPs, but by and large, our seats are only for 4-year-olds in our full day programs. And so something we're really working on is we don't want to see a lot of families sitting on a waiting list for full day classrooms with a 3-year-old. We don't have the ability to accept those students into full day. And so the options in CPS schools are our half day programs for 3-year-olds. And those are very limited. And so we really do encourage families to explore our CBO options for 3-year-olds.
Thank you. I think that happened to us when we applied last year. Olivia was still 3 and we were put on a wait list. Okay, so I have another question. Carolina, she doesn't state what school she's from, but she has 3 questions. And I think this goes to talk about like research that parents might need to do on their end, because I've also had seen questions on Facebook about like what programming is available, right? For these pre-K programs. So which schools have all-day preschool programs? Which schools include social emotional in their curriculum? Which schools include arts, music in their curriculum? So I think
Great
this is a
questions.
programming question.
Yeah. So I'll start with the which schools have all day. So this actually, when this question came in, it prompted us to realize that we didn't currently have a list. So you can actually right now, if you click on each individual school, you'll see what options they offer, but we didn't have a comprehensive list. So I appreciate this question. So we will very soon on chicagoearlylearning.org have a list that indicates whether schools offer full day, half day, or both. But right now you can, if you click on each individual school, you can see what they offer. In terms of social emotional, we use a curriculum called the Creative Curriculum, and it's a research-based curriculum that's used pretty widely across the nation. And one of the foundations of that curriculum is social emotional learning. We know that in the early years, kids are developing in every way, right? They're developing cognitively, they're learning language, they're learning how to read, they're learning, math, but they're also learning how to exist in the world. They're learning how to interact with other kids, with their family members, with their teachers, etc. And so you can't have early education that doesn't address the social emotional learning aspects of child development. And so that's foundational to our curriculum. I would say on top of that, something that my department has been doing over the past few years, or especially this past year, is working with our Department of Social Emotional Learning within CPS. And so schools are beginning to, or have gotten actually, resources to support implementing what's called the second step social emotional learning curriculum, as well as Calm Classroom. And so those resources are beginning to kind of roll out across the district. One of the schools I had a chance to visit earlier today is just now introducing Calm Classroom. And so it was great to see, the teachers sort of take a moment, and the kids had a chance to sort of like practice breathing and reflecting on things they really enjoy and what they're really appreciating. And so, we're bringing out and rolling out additional supplemental supports, but social emotional is a foundation of everything that we do in early childhood. In terms of arts and music, again, those are foundational elements of the creative curriculum. So kids learn, kids don't sort of learn, reading just by reading a book, right? They're learning literacy through art. They're learning math through music. And so, teachers are integrating arts and music throughout their day, and that's a foundational part of the curriculum as well.
I enjoy seeing my little one coming home with yoga techniques and breathing techniques and calming down her brother and telling him to breathe. So it's definitely part of our curriculum at CPS and, in other schools too, because it's a big, mental health, also component that we want to make sure we're supporting for our little ones as well. I have another question. This is Nicole Abreu from John Elementary School. Can you clarify how many seats are assigned for preschool? I keep hearing to apply early for the best chance at my preferred school. Is it first come, first serve?
Great question. So each classroom is capped at 20 seats. In terms of the number of seats at each school, I believe we have that on the CEO website. And so if you click on a school, I think you can see how many seats are there. It varies, wildly, just as schools vary wildly based on the size of the school, the space in the school, et cetera. But I believe we have that information there. In terms of how they're assigned, we, as I mentioned, have this initial application period. And so during that period, it's the best time to apply and the best time to secure your first or second option. We're then going to release offers in about 3 weeks. Excuse me. But the time you apply during that 3 weeks doesn't matter. So if you apply, we'd love for you to apply today or tomorrow. But if things happen, you apply in 2.5 weeks, fine. Doesn't really matter. What's going to matter are your eligibility factors. After that initial period, we're going to then begin filling seats leading up to the beginning of school. And so we're still looking at eligibility factors. We're still maintaining wait lists. But the chances of maybe getting your first priority school, if it's a school that doesn't have very many seats, or if it's a school that lots of families are applying to, the chances do diminish outside of that first early application period.
Thank you for that. And actually, there was a question right now that I saw tied up to that you kind of answered from the chat, the live Q&A. And Nicole Brew asked, I heard classes will be capped at 15 again next year. Is that for sure at this point, or is it possibly to go back to typical 20 students?
That's a great question. So, with our announcement yesterday that we're committed to full day in-person learning, we'll be at 20. So 20 students per classroom.
Great. Thank you for that. We knocked out 2 questions with 1 stone.
Moving on.
Yes. So, I think it's very important that we try to answer as many parent questions. I know this is a hot topic right now, especially with the launch of the application. So I want to get to as many of these as we can. Can parents who are still not working due to COVID-19 concerns apply for early Head Start?
That's a great question. So early Head Start and Head Start are administered by our partners at the Department of Family and Support Services. And so, that CEL hotline that I mentioned and the Chicago Early Learning website is shared by us and DFSS, and we'll have a lot of information there. The answer I'll say in terms of, so I can't answer a lot of detail about their implementation, but in terms of eligibility, work status is not a requirement. So Head Start and Early Head Start are income based, and so there is an income cap, but they do not require that you are working.
Yep. Okay, great. And then Monica Guerrero Diaz from ECYL is asking, and I think this is tied to your previous answer, are spots income based?
So we do use, so shifting from, as I mentioned, Head Start, Early Head Start is our community-based organizations within CPS. We do use income as a priority factor. And so when we're selecting families based on applications for schools that don't have enough seats for the number of families applying, income is one of the priority factors. At the same time, we're not income restricted in CPS, and so we at this point now have nearly enough slots for every 4-year-old, in the majority of communities, and so the chances of getting a seat in a program, especially in your first or second choice program, are high. And so we're using income for priority, but you're not capped at a certain income.
Thank you for that. And then this is a programming question again. So if we could reiterate, Vanessa Hernandez asked, what programs or schools are out there for pre-K students who are gifted or advanced?
That's a great question. So, we know that kids develop at all sorts of different paces, and kids excel in different areas at different times. And so, what I think is foundational about our program is we have low class sizes. So all of our classrooms are capped at 20. We have two teachers in the room, a teacher and a teacher assistant, who are both highly qualified. And our curriculum is designed so that teachers can meet the developmental needs of kids. And so if you have a kid who's very skilled in reading, advanced in reading, or advanced in math, or advanced in the arts, whatever it is, teachers are going to scale and individualize their activities to the needs of kids and the skills of kids, and the areas where kids are, developing typically advanced, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we don't have preschool programs that are considered, selective enrollment or gifted, et cetera. All of our classrooms are going to meet the needs of kids where they are.
Thank you. Let me go into this Q&A chat and find some questions here. We still have some time, but we have a couple questions that were answered by your team. So thank you, team, for answering those questions of our attendees. But I have a couple more. Will there be remote options for pre-K students in the fall?
So yes. So as we released with the budget release yesterday, as a district, we really want to encourage families to choose in-person learning. As I mentioned, in-person learning is safe and will continue to be safe. At the same time, we know there are some families who may choose a remote option, so that will continue to be an option for the fall.
Thank you. Then I have Nicole Abreu here. Is there any flexibility for half-day, full-day? For example, if there's space in a half-day program, could a school admin allow a 4-year-old attend a half-day if a family requests it, or vice versa?
So yes, so 4-year-olds are able to apply to half-day. The restriction is that 3-year-olds cannot apply to or cannot enroll in full-day. At the same time, we know that a full day, in terms of the impact of early childhood, we really believe strongly that full day is going to prepare students for kindergarten the most and provide the most school readiness. And I think also because we have such a limited number of half-day seats, we're really encouraging our 4-year-olds to apply for the full-day seats that we've built.
Okay, and then I know okay, so this is regarding how our buildings are looking right now, or our classrooms are looking right now during COVID.
Yep.
Would the district feel comfortable releasing photos that show the environment, how it will be next year? The ability to tour sites is obviously limited due to the virus, but images would help to prepare children who haven't been in school environment during COVID.
Absolutely. So I think some of the photos that we've either used in this presentation or in some others are actually from our schools, but we do have a set of photos that show safety practices in place, how our classrooms are set up, and so we can make that a follow-up action for our team to kind of get some of those together. I know that we've used them in different district presentations, but we can make sure we get those out. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know Dr. Jackson had shared some too in her social media pages and our
Yeah.
handles, showing of how like some of the kids were doing activities and how they were
Right.
socially distancing, and still learning and still having fun. I don't want to say fun, but
Absolutely.
it was fun because I saw
Yeah.
that they were smiling and interacting with one another. And I know there is video, so I encourage you to check out for sure our CPS Facebook pages and Instagram pages and follow Dr. Jackson too, who has shared some of these images on her social media. And will the remote learning option be managed at the school level or centrally? Simultaneous instruction has been very tricky from what I've seen. And I know there was an announcement about how school might look like next year. So this probably ties into that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, as I mentioned, we're committed to offering a remote option. Although we're really encouraging in-person learning. Part of the planning that now needs to take place for the fall is making sure that we have the best options for what that's going to look like. So I think we'll have updates on that soon. And so what I would just say is, I think in terms of the details, there's still planning and engagement needs to happen around that. But there will be a remote option for those families who choose it.
Yep. And then I saw your team answer some of these questions that came in earlier. I'm not sure if everybody can see the answers to these, but Monina Diaz, I want to make sure we address this one because she was asking about children that live in the suburbs. And I just want to remind her and everybody else that Chicago Public Schools are limited to the city of Chicago residents. So we do not service kids in the suburbs. You need to
Right.
show 2 proofs of address because that was also another question as to how many proofs of addresses do you need to show at application. You need 2 proofs of addresses for pre-K students to show that you are residing in the city of Chicago. So Chicago Public Schools, again, is only open to residents of the city of Chicago.
Yeah. And what I would say is that almost all of our suburban neighbors have, free preschool programs. And so definitely looking at what the State Board of Education has as their list of programs. If you're looking for suburban children, there are programs out there.
And there was a question that she also asked about, do undocumented families qualify for these programs?
Absolutely. So there's no requirement to show, any sort of citizenship or immigration status. Undocumented families are absolutely welcome and encouraged to apply.
Yeah, for sure. And then I have a question. I want to go back to this question that I left towards the end. And then maybe we still have a couple more minutes. So I don't know if like Edna has anything to add or your team has anything to add to this today. But Jose Manuel Almanza from Enlace Chicago, he's asking more of tech support for parents. And I know you mentioned that there is support for our non-tech parents who wish to apply for the program by calling the phone numbers that you have listed on the chat. But he asked, how can CPS parents who are also adult learners receive additional tech support or devices for a family of learners, digital literacy support, etc.? And I just want to answer these questions and let you know that there is parent tech support that CPS provides, and we have a parent tech support hotline. The phone number is 773-417-1060. I will put that information in the chat. We also have Google training videos that are available to our parents. Our family and community engagement department, as I mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, has several workshops that we offer on tech support. We then upload our videos to our YouTube channel, and those are accessible for you to watch at your leisure. And yeah, that is it. So I just want to make sure that that is answered, because I do know that we want our parents to feel comfortable with technology and have the support that they need if they don't feel comfortable with technology. So we do have additional supports for those families. But is there anything else that you wish to add or remind? We went through all the Q&As and all the questions that came in. I think this is a first that we were able to do this in a
I
presentation.
know.
So it's great that we will be able, oh, here we have another question. Currently, kids who are going in person have the option to sign on remotely if they fail the screener but are well enough. Will this be an option next year?
That's a great question that I think we need to work through.
Yes.
So I think, stay tuned. We'll make sure to, bring that back to our planning.
Yeah, and I think there's still kinks that we are working on for next year's planning through the district that we are still working out. So you, for sure, we will have, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, we will have more content experts on here. We might have facilities on here. I know our next session for Join the Expert is Peter Leonard. He is the executive director of student assessment, and he will be talking about preparing for assessments. And that would be next week on the 29th, again from 4 to 5 p.m. That is our next session for Ask the Expert. But before we leave, we still have 14 minutes.
All right.
This has never happened before, which is good though. It's good.
Everyone's at home applying. That's why there are no
Yeah,
questions
I
asked.
think
Yeah.
people logged out and applied, right? And they're like, or they are just like, we know how to do this.
Right.
Let's get our kids in school. But 3 takeaways for today that you want parents to walk away knowing from your presentation or from your department to get, them in the door for pre-K.
Definitely. I think first is that early education is critical. It's the foundation to school success. It's the foundation to building strong social emotional learning skills, building strong attendance habits, to building enjoyment and a passion for learning. And so we really encourage every parent who has a child under 5, go to chicagoearlylearning.org and apply. That's like three takeaways probably at once, but I'll give 2 more.
Yeah.
I think second
I think that
is
was a very important takeaway.
great. Second is just that the application window is open now, and so apply. Please tell your friends. Please share. We've got posts on Twitter and Facebook. Share the word, spread the word that it's easy to apply. We have supports in English and in Spanish to apply with our hotline, with our family resource centers. So, whatever we can do to make it easier, there are ways to reach us. So please apply. And third is that, we're committed to in-person learning for the fall, and that, in-person learning is safe, that we've shared and we'll continue to share some photos and videos of how that's working and what it looks like. But we're really excited about welcoming back, all of our youngest learners and all of our learners in CPS full day in the fall.
Yes, I think those are great takeaways. Like I said to you before, this conversation of pre-K enrollment is a hot topic right now at the moment. I think even year round, I know several parents who are constantly doing research as to how to apply for the pre-K program, what program fits their kids or their school, and we are very accessible. I know you have a team, right?
Absolutely.
Of experts out in the field who also work with families. I know I have Anna in my department who helps with early childhood, and I know Claudia is in Network 8, but each network should have also a content expert. Do you know how they can get a hold of these early childhood specialists in the networks?
Yeah, I would say, we would encourage families to start at their school.
Mhm.
So our network specialists, we have a fantastic team. That part of the team is on here today, but a fantastic team across the networks that they're supporting school leaders and supporting teachers. And so I would say, starting with your neighborhood school or with the school your child's attending, and they're able to reach out to our specialists and get any questions answered. We also have that oece@cps.edu email address, and that goes to our team who can get questions out to anyone who can best answer them.
And Bryan, something I just remembered, and I want to make sure parents know, because I learned this, there is no attendance boundary for pre-K programs, correct?
That's correct. So
Right.
families can attend any school. You can apply for any school within CPS.
Correct. And I think that's very important, right? Because for kinder through 8th grade or through 12th grade, you have to either go to your attendance boundary or apply to a school and either selective enrollment school and go through the application process for that and then get accepted. But for pre-K, there is a little bit more flexibility in that. And I think that's something important that parents need to know and be aware of. And I know we skipped it or didn't mention it in the
Yeah.
application section. So I'm glad we were able to fit that in, and we have.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I would say, we do encourage families to think about the school where your kid is likely to attend kindergarten, or your neighborhood school as great options, so that there is continuity from pre-K all the way up. So there's not a boundary, but we really do encourage looking at your neighborhood school or a school where your kid is likely to attend K.
Yes, I had a conversation with a mom who said that she was looking for a school in Pilsen and which one was the best. And I answered saying, I think all the schools in Pilsen are amazing schools. But how do you narrow your search, right? So I encouraged her, you really need to do research on your part as to what the school has to offer and what your child's interest is. And she says, I think I would want them to be a STEM oriented school, where they do robotics or they have that mentality or that curriculum in their school. And I said, then Youngman would be a great school to look into, right? Because
Right.
Youngman has a STEM curriculum. And then other moms started asking me questions in the thread. But it does take
options.
there's a lot of options in CPS regarding the programming or the type of focus that our schools offer. And it takes work on the parents' side to do that research, but all that information is available. I think if you Google the schools in your neighborhood and research them a little bit, you can find a little bit more about them and see what is a good fit for your pre-K student. Am I right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And reaching out to the principal, reaching out to the school and learning more about them. Some of our schools have created fact sheets about their pre-K programs. And so they're able to share those. And so, you're right. There's so many options. You've got to find the school that's going to be the right fit.
Yeah, and I don't think parents are aware of some of the schools that have a focus, right? They just think it's just my neighborhood school. But several of our schools in CPS have a focus, and I think that's something that they need to research and just find out. And the amount of programming that we offer is so it's immense, right? It's not just STEM. There's dual language, there's arts, there's so many programming in our schools that it's great for any of our kiddos, our little kiddos who you feel have a sparked interest in any of these areas.
Absolutely. It's one of the great things to think about the district.
Yeah, so I think we are set. Just want to make sure that I think your team was doing a really great job of answering these questions.
They are.
On the chat. Are schools aware of information that you are sharing?
Yes. So yes, nothing that I've shared should be new to schools. This is definitely information that schools have.
Yes. I think Bryan mentioned that his team does support our principals and our teachers in our buildings, and there's constant communication with them regarding the application and anything related to early childhood. I think Bryan's team has done a great job at keeping our schools informed. And right now that the application is rolling out, I know Anna and I have been working on strategizing as to how we can get this information out to more families so that we could get
Great.
more of our 4-year-olds into our buildings.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Bryan. I think
Thanks,
it was a
Christina.
great chat today. I'm so excited for you to be here. I can't believe it's been a year already.
I know it flew by.
Yeah, it flies by in CPS, but thank you
Yeah.
again for being here, and thank you to your team who is here helping answer these questions. Like I said, we have another session coming up next week with Peter Leonard from 4 to 5 p.m. We hope that you could tune in for that. And we will see you then.
Thanks, Christina.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you.